Uh, Madam Sasmita Muduli is working as a lecturer in logic and philosophy in Noyagada Autonomous College, Noyagada, in the state of Odisha. Our topic is the concept of Jeevanamukti, and this paper has been guided by Professor Pramod Kumar Das, Head, Department of Philosophy, Noyagada Autonomous College, Noyagada. And this topic is very popular among all the scholars. The concept of Jivan Mukti uh, is reflected by almost all the philosophers, and Professor Pramod Madas is an expert on this topic, the concept of Jivan Mukti, and he has guided Madam Sasmita Muduli from every perspective. So with this, I extend my welcome to Madam Sasmita Muduli, and I welcome her to start her presentation on the topic, the concept of Jivan Mukti. Over to Madam Sasmita.
Namaskar. Good evening to all of you. My topic is the concept of Jeevanamukti. Respected my guide Pramod Kumar Das sir, respected Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana sir, respected K. Om Narayan Rao sir, respected all the judges present here, and esteemed participants. My topic is the concept of Jeevanamukti. Human life is value centric. In Indian culture, we believe in four types of values which are called Purusarthas. These four values of life are known as Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Artha and Kama are empirical values which are necessary for human existence in the mundane world. Moksha is the transcendental value which is honored as the highest value and called Paramapurusartha. Dharma is the bridge between these two levels of human existence. Dharma regulates empirical existence according to the principle of righteousness, and it helps it transcends to the transcendental existence which can be attained but not experienced. Moksha or ultimate freedom from the life cycle is attainable but not experienceable, because in this state there is no distinction between the three faculties of cognition, such as experience, object of experience, and the subject of experience. This is also known as disembodied state of freedom or Videha Mukti. This transcendental state of freedom or Videha Mukti is accepted by almost all orthodox systems of Indian philosophy. But Jivana Mukti is attainable and experienceable in our practical life. Jivana Mukti is the empirical pursuit of freedom which is attained by psychic discipline through rigorous ethical practices. By the word Jivana Mukti, literally we mean Mukti in Jivana, or living freely while living our life. Out of the four Purusarthas, Dharma, Artha, and Kama, which are directly regulated by the state of Jivanamukti, and in the next step, when one has already attained Jivanamukti, one can attain the highest freedom from life cycle, which is known as Videha Mukti. But in order to attain this highest form of disembodied freedom, one must be qualified to attain the state of Jivanamukti. Jivanamukti is the state of freedom while living an embodied life. The Bhagavad Gita has given much importance on Jivanamukti as it is the highest form of self-transformation. The self transforms from ignorance to knowledge and from bondage to liberation gradually through spiritual sadhana or through the practice of yoga. The doctrine of Purusharthas spells out the schemata of four fundamental values which the individual has to imbibe in letter and spirit. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha constitute the four integral components of the value schemata. These four values are molded with the life of an individual so intimately that every occasion in life facilitates one's journey to the cherished goal. Biripta dharma, pursuit of kama, generates into passion. Biripta dharma, artha generates into acquisitiveness and greed. Without dharma, kama becomes vasana and artha becomes anartha. Hence, dharma is the only imperative to guard both kama and artha, so that one can attain this trans-empirical value, the highest value of life, that is moksha. Kama or desire is accepted as one of the value paradigm, and at the same time it is considered as the root cause of suffering. Kama is also understood in the sense of attachment. Indian scriptures do not disqualify attachment altogether, because without attachment no work is possible. Our attachment should be genuine and backed by proper reason. Our attachment should be pursued through the sense of detachment. It is observed in the opening verse of Isha Upanishad, Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita, which suggests that one should be attached with the sense of detachment. The Bhagavad Gita identifies Arjuna's improper attachment for grief, Visada, which is not expected from the wise. Mind is man. As the mind, so is the individual. If the mind is disturbed, the individual is disturbed. If the mind is good, the individual is good. This mind is constituted of two distinct sides, one facing the world of stimuli that reach it from the objects of the world, and the other facing the within, which refers to the stimuli received. The outer mind facing the object is called the objective mind, in Sanskrit, manasa, and the inner mind is called the subjective mind, in Sanskrit, buddhi. That individual is whole and healthy, in whom the objective and subjective aspects of a mind work in union. In the moments of doubt or confusion, the objective mind readily comes under the disciplining influence of the subjective mind. But unfortunately, the majority of human beings have minds that are split. The split between the subjective and the objective aspects of our mind is mainly created by the layers of egoistic desires in the individual. As the desires in us, so are our thoughts. At every moment, the texture and the quality of our thoughts are readily conditioned and controlled by our desires. Thoughts in an individual expressed in the outer world of objects become his actions. Actions are nothing other than the agent's thoughts projected and expressed in the world. Thus, in this chain of ignorance, constituted of desires, thoughts, and actions, each one of us is caught and bound. Naturally, if the Supreme can be defined as the experience beyond ignorance, it must be necessarily be true that self is the state of desirelessness, or the condition of thoughtlessness, or the life of actionlessness. By mere renunciation of action, no one attains perfection. Running away from life is not the way to reach the highest goal of evolution. Every action does not bring about bondages upon the doer. It is only unintelligent activities that thicken the impressions in the mind and build a thick and impenetrable wall between the ego and unlimited divine spark of life in us. All activities other than yajna activities will bring about vasana bondages, and the individual's ultimate development and growth will be arrested. Yajna activities are performed for lokasangraha based on the ideal of niskama karma. The attainment of Jeevanamukti is possible by the complete understanding of the dialectical perspectives of categorical paradigm and a contextual paradigm of ethical discipline. Categorical paradigm is empty without contextual applicability, and the contextual paradigm is blind without categorical stability. The synthesis of these two dialectical possibilities of moral order has been addressed by the Bhagavad Gita through the notion of Swadharma and by Bradley through the notion of my station and my duty. Swadharma is both categorical and contextual. Swadharma is categorical as it is not devoid of the dharma paradigm. Every context comes under both cosmic and moral order. The context is the real field of execution of moral values. The contextual exceptions do not undermine the dharma paradigm, as every exception is also a rule. The application of dharma paradigm in the varying contexts is nothing but the manifestation of the unmanifested dharma paradigm. So dharma is contextual, as the dharma paradigm is to be implemented in the empirical context of life situation. The dharma of water is to flow down, but in the context of a human use, the water can be forced to flow up by taking the help of motor. Telling truth is a dharma paradigm, but telling lie is also useful in some given context. Taking life of someone is violence, but the same action is rewarded with dignity in the battlefield. The abstract dharma paradigm is to be concretized by swadharma, or the dharma of an individual in a given context. The unity is possible if every bit of the diversities is integrated and disciplined by its own principles. The social order is maintained only because of the integrated commitment of each and every individual of the society. The nucleus discipline makes the cosmos disciplined. Karma is performed with the dharma paradigm, but it is not as rigorous as categorical imperative. Karma should be performed according to both the paradigms of dharma and swadharma. But this karma may be the cause of bondage even it is done according to both the paradigms of dharma and swadharma, because the agent may have the sense of agency, karta bhava. The agent of action is necessary for doing an action, but the sense of agency or ego in doing that action, even it is done according to the paradigm of dharma and swadharma, leads to bondage and suffering. Similarly, the consequences are inevitably acquired to an action, but the unnecessary nagging and hanging over the consequences leads to bondage and suffering. So, dharma karma or swadharma karma is not niskama karma or akarma. The dharma karma or the swadharma karma should be performed without the sense of agency and without expectation of the consequences. This is called akarma or inaction. Akarma or inaction is a state of mind or wisdom which motivates one to do niskama karma. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the wise person is he who sees inaction in action and action in inaction. The Bhagavad Gita has given all scope for human freedom through Swadharma and at the same time ultimate freedom from all bondage to Niskama Karma. The dynamics of karma such as Dharma Karma, Swadharma Karma and Niskama Karma are well explained in the Bhagavad Gita without any logical oddity and absurdity. When one is established in the state of Niskama Karma, it ultimately takes one to the state of Naishya Karma. Niskama Karma is recognized as a qualified karma installed with 5 fundamental attributes. Firstly, karma should be free from the sense of agency karta bhava. Secondly, karma should be free from attachment for the results or consequence, favorable or unfavorable. Thirdly, karma should be inclined for the collective well-being, lokasangraha. Fourthly, karma should be executed by free will or rational will. And finally, karma should be guided by the principle of righteousness, dharma. Man easily gets distracted by the temporary emotions and feelings which create an attachment with the things or the persons around us. It leads to the habit and disappointment through which we are forced to accept the unreal fact that we are good for nothing. Everyone has an empowerment to make anything possible, but they are ignorant of their own inner power. They can manifest what they want. Our subconscious mind has power of doing anything or making everything real which is thought by us. We just need to train it in a proper way through meditation. We need to have control over our emotions and attachments by keeping our mind at peace. When Arjuna was reluctant to fight against his own brothers, Lord Krishna taught him the path of righteousness. This lesson not only inspired Arjuna but also to the whole mankind. So my objective in this paper is to submit how the ethical consciousness and ethical disciplines guide to work on the path of righteousness in our life and become a foundational source of inspiration for man making and the attainment of Jeevanamukti. So, as we know that Adi Sankaracharya believe in a Jivana Mukti. Um, after getting a liberation in life, what we realized, what we are, how we think that, how we live our life after getting liberation. So, in Nirvana Saptakam of Sankaracharya, it is explained. So, I want to chant the three stanzas of Nirvana Satakam. ॐ मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचेतानिनाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न वा पाणिपादं न चोपस्थपायो चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदो नैव मे नैव मश्चैयभावो मश्चैयभावो न धर्मो न चर्थो न कामो न मोक्ष चिदानन्दरूपो शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपो शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकारो भावो अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकारो भावो विभूत्वा च सर्वाग्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां विभूत्वा च सर्वाग्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं मे मुक्तिर्नमेय न च सङ्गतमेव मुक्तिर्नमेय चिदानन्दरूपो शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपो शिवोऽहं 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 नमस्कार थैंक यू
Thanks so much, Sasmita Madam, for your very excellent way of presentation Today you have presented a very clear and comprehensive paper on the concept of Jivan Mukti, and you have left, perhaps you have left no room for any query. And you have referred to different classical texts of Indian philosophy, and you have given your conceptual analysis of all the points when you were okay discussing the human life, the value centric life of human beings as dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and when you have focused on the moksha or the which are the transcendental values, you have very clearly discussed and Videha Mukti, Jivan Mukti, everything. I don't want to make any synopsis of the talk because it's very clear up to all. And at last, you have made it clear that how Jivan Mukti can be attained by complete understanding of all ethical theories and contextual moral uh, paradigms, which is done in the sense of dharma, karma, swadharma karma, and niskama karma. And you have taken your goal, you have taken your objective, that is the for for man making and ethical consciousness. But actually, your paper is very clear and your goal is also very clear. I thank you. I congratulate you, and I also congratulate your guide for guiding in such a manner that you have made the paper very clear, very comprehensive. Thanks so much. Now I request Dr. K. Rao for making further of the discussion and interaction.
Thank you, Dr. Maharana. Well, I say Sasmita Muduli, she has presented her paper so nicely, so precisely and clearly, very nicely done. Thank you for this attempt. Well, we have with us Jayanti Madam. I request her to have her observations and her questions. Jayanti Madam.
Thank you, sir. Sasmita, it's a good paper. I just have observations that you made. One is that dharma, karma, then swadharma, karma, then again niskama, karma. How do you analyze all these concepts dialectically? That is one thing. Can you give some examples to establish your argument, that conclusion which you are making?
Ma'am, it's
Am I
not
audible?
clear. No,
Am I
ma'am, no,
audible?
ma'am. No, ma'am.
Now it's audible?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's audible.
Yes, my first question is that you talk about dharma karma, swadharma karma, and niskama karma. How do you establish all these concepts dialectically? That is one question. And could you please give some examples to establish your conclusion, which the argument which you are making and the conclusion you are going to establish, that Jivan Mukti or whatever like you want to establish? Could you give some concrete examples?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, dharma karma, in the sense, dharma, as we know that dharma is an underlying principle, that it is pervaded in everywhere, that whatever we are doing, that's our actions must be with that righteous principle, in the sense that if we are not righteous in our actions, that action may bind us. So another way, that is swadharma karma. So our swadharma must be with dharma. If it is not with dharma, that our swadharma will be incomplete. So swadharma karma and dharma karma, they are going hand to hand, in the sense that swadharma karma means it is situational. So by doing swadharma karma, we can also fall into bondage. So our swadharma should be with dharma. That means what our situation demand, we have to do according to this way. So another way is niskama karma. So swadharma karma and dharma karma may bind us, may cause of our suffering, may cause of our bondage. But niskama karma cannot be the cause of our bondage, because it is the ideal action where there is no sense of agency, there is no sense of doership by performing these actions. But in the Swadharma karma and Dharma karma, there may be the sense of agency. So this is the difference that I give importance to Niskama karma, because as it is the ideal action, that to attain the state of Jeevanamukti, we have to be a Niskama karmi.
So how do you define agency? And
Agency means that what when I am doing any actions, that when I am always thinking about my results and always hanging with that, always thinking about what will be the result, and I am always distracted by my consequences. In that way, I am fall into bondage. So that is my sense of
okay,
agency, that I undermine the sense of I undermine.
okay, thank you, Sasmita. It's a good paper. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Sasmita. Well, I should thank your guide because his understanding has pumped, he has pumped his understanding into your mind, because these are the lines which normally Professor Das speaks of. Okay. Well, taking your paper as a whole, I see a sort of Purusartha model or scheme for attaining Jivan Mukti. Okay. Now, you see, the importance of artha and kama, but then you see that they need to be regulated by dharma in order to be in a state of jivan mukti. Okay, so you don't neglect, because you want to be in the world also. Okay, you are not negating the world. Okay, that's how you give importance to jivan mukti. You are in the world. So very nicely you have made a passage to that. Okay, but two things that attract me. One, I need a explanation from your side. So, in this model, you have said, Jivan Mukti is all about living in this world of attachment with a sense of detachment. So, how do you explain this? When we have to live in this world, so what is this sense of detachment? Number one. Okay. So, living in this world with a sense of detachment, what do you mean by this? Okay, number one. Number two, while discussing Niskama Karma, well, you have tried to see that Niskama Karma lies in seeing action in inaction and inaction in action. So these two ideas, how do you explain? Very nicely you have said, well, justified, but how do you explain them?
Okay, sir. First thing is what how we I forget the question.
How do you live in
Kindly.
this world of attachment with a sense of detachment? What is this
Yes,
living in this world of attachment with a sense of detachment?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, actually, attachment and desire is essential to all. Without desire, we can't live. Uh, Attachment will be there as long as we live, but that should be controlled. That should be controlled, means we have to know the management of a desire. As we know the time management, so we have to know the management of desires. So many desires will come and go, but we have to know that which kind of desire will not bind me, which kind of desire will not the cause of my pain, my suffering. That desire should be desired by the human being. So in that sense, we will not attached with our desire. We are not attached with our things what we expect. So that will be our detachment, and that detachment is necessary in our practical life. That every time we are worried about our actions, our expectations. So our expectations are really cause of our bondage. But that expectations will be there as long as we live. But that should not be always distract our mind. We have to focus on our action rather than reactions, rather than consequences. So in that sense, we will be detached from our action, our consequence of actions. First thing. Next thing, action in inaction and inaction in action. That means without action, man cannot live. To live is to act. But that the same action is the cause of bondage, and the same action can help to liberate. So Action cannot be the cause of our bondage, but the ideal, the intention, the reason behind the action is the cause of our bondage. So, intention should be proper. Intention should be guided by proper reason. Our intention should be good in the sense there should not be any egoistic, selfish desire behind our action. Our intention should be for the benefit of humanity, for the upliftment of society, and finally, it will help us to reach at the level of a karma, which is called as niskama karma. Sir.
Okay, well, you have attempted, but two things. Well, during the course of the paper and during the answer, while answering Jayanti madam, you took dharma, but here while responding, you failed to see this. Dharma as a principle. Well, we are attached. Well, no. Well, we live in this world. Sense of attachment will be there. So you took this connecting thread, dharma as a connecting thread between this world of attachment and transcending, say moving to towards or attaining Jeevanamukti. You took dharma as a guiding principle. So with that principle, you move ahead. Okay. So here one more, seeing nishkama karma, action in inaction and inaction in action. Again, one more thing I see you are missing is you are focusing again on the well-being, the consequences, and all that. But here there is no such thing. Actually, you are going to act. Action is already there, but okay, you are not renunciating the action. Being in the world, you are an actor. You are acting. That part you are clear, but you are still focusing on that consequences. You are not bothered about the consequences. You are not bothered about the fruits of your action. What you are doing is contextually, as you said earlier, contextually you are just practicing your swadharma, all forgetting your agency, a sense of agency. As you pointed, you even pointed, there is no sense of agency. So when there is no sense of agency, what just remains is your action without any sense of detachment, without any sense of attachment, because you don't see the consequences. You are not bothered about the fruits. What you are only bothered about is your swadharma. Anyway, your attempt is fine and you have nearly reached that. Thank you so much, Sasmita Muduli. Thank you so much. Over to your guide now. Okay, Professor Das. Yes, is he there or yes, he is there.
Very good, very good, very good. Very nicely presented. Uh, all credits go to the paper presenter because guide may guide, but when the paper presenter is presenting, she is presenting. There is nobody to give any backup. Anyway, the question is, the agent will be there because without the agent, no action is possible. Consequences must be there because without the consequences, no action will be done. Agent will be there, but there will be no sense of agency. This is spiritual sadhana. I am the agent, but I am doing in such a way that I have no ego of my agency. Similarly, my action will invite consequences, but I am not so poor in my mentality that I shall no so daridra. So I shall go after running after thinking, overthinking about the consequences. Consequences must follow if I have done something. So whatever must follow, why should we be worried about that? We should have orientation about the consequence, but we should not be disturbed by that disturbance. We should focus on our action only, and that is called karma yoga. That leads to niskama karma. So akarma is not a karma. Akarma is a state of mind. What Sasmita madam said, so that is your intention. Intention is mental. Intention is psychological. What is your intention behind your action? If your intention is to do something for lokasangraha, to do something for, as Sulagna madam said, care ethics. If your intention is to take care of something, then you become the action. When the agent becomes the action, that becomes Jagya, that becomes Lokasangraha. That at that moment the agent is liberated. So liberation is not so far for a karma yogi. He is liberated and his action is done with a liberated mind. So there is no, so he is free from all dialectical oppositions: fame, defame, success, failure, life, death. Oh, he transcends all these dialectical oppositions. He becomes an embodiment of action. He becomes the embodiment of values. Myself and my action are not two things. I am the action. I am, that means character. Oh, Professor Mishra is speaking. Oh, he is a person of this stature. Sometimes we identify the person with the action. That is called character. So your action will become your character. So you are free. So Jeevanamukti is an experience which is experienced by the experiencer in this life, in this very life. In 2022, we are talking about modern, postmodernism. For Jeevanamukti, there is no history. At every moment, you are supposed to be free. If you are not free, your life will go to hell. You are living your life, but you are not living freely. So first of all, we have to learn how can I live freely in this world of diversities, in this world of suffering, in this world of agony. And that will lead to, this is the training period. After that, you will be ultimately free. When there is no action, there is no experience, you are no more. You are lost with the vast ocean of bliss consciousness. Thank you. It is well done, and very honestly she presented her paper. I think perhaps this is her first experience. I think so. I don't know, but this is a very good attempt. Thank you.
Hello. Hello,
Yes,
Dr. Rao.
yes. Well,
See,
nice
we
attempt,
all,
Sasmita.
okay, we all know that Sasmita has responded to all the questions very clearly. But in the first line of her talk, Sasmita Madam told that human life is value centric. Human life is value centric. Yes, all right. But human life is also problematic. And the problems of life, are deep rooted in ignorance. But how? And we know that most of us are with spiritual blindness. So how can you take the Jivan Mukti to actually that is in the man in the practical lives of a human being which is full of the spiritual blindness, which is full of ignorance.
Actually, first of all, we have, yes, sir, that we human beings are really aware of our existence, and we know the situations, and we can judge the situations whether it will be good or bad. That's why it is a value centric, and to live a very practical life and live a very spiritual life, we have to create the sense, we have to show the sense of uniqueness, creativity, that which we have, that is given by the divine being, that we have to live such a life by dedicating our actions towards the mankind, and that may help us to live spiritually.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much
Thank you,
for
sir.
your good
Thank you.
answer. Thanks. Okay, Professor Rao. Professor
Yes,
Rao.
yes. Thank you, thank you. Well,
Would we invite any other? Would we?
no,
Would
no,
you invite?
we don't have any more. Yeah, well, Shravani Misra, as she raises a question and it is answered in the process. Well, again, Sasmita Muduli, she takes this dharma as a tool for addressing to the issues that you raised, and she effectively sees that there is a need of karma and artha, but she takes dharma as a guiding principle to all this, to be in the world and at the same time having a zeal for Jeevanamukti. Okay, so dharma is the tool for her. Thank you. Well, we should move to the third speaker.